Welcome back to the BFC, where we go into the trenches of the trading world. I am here with CEO of Cavitation Technologies, ticker CVAT, Mr. Neil Voloshin. You've been a guest before. And yes, a new face. I have Mr. Anton Glotser, the new VP of XYRA Corp, the newly launched subsidiary of Cavitation Technologies. So, gentlemen, welcome to the BFC. How are we doing?
Good to see you.
Now, listen, Neil, I don't want you to feel neglected, but I'm going to really focus on Anton here because he's the newest face, and it's great to have you aboard, man. Welcome for your first venture on the BFC.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those, right? That's going to be one of those that I kind of take a seat back. It's awesome, man. I think it's great.
Just sit back and relax and have some.
There we go.
Hey, we had wings twice together already. What was better, mulberries or barbell, or do you not?
Well, you know what? They're entirely different. I got to tell you, because the chicken place, I think it's very unique because it just anyone who I talk to, they do know about it. So it just, I guess it's your trademark. And mulberry is a pretty good place. I mean, it's Italian food, but it's Italian food. So I mean, either or, depending on the mood and the time of day. But
That's
it was
right.
good.
It was
thanks,
a good.
Thanks, man.
All right, Anton, it's all about you, sir. And so you've had a fascinating journey from launching DelNorte, DTV, to testifying before the North Dakota legislature, and now stepping into your role at XYRA Corp. Walk us through how your experience in blockchain and government digitization led you here.
So I got into government tokenization, digitization back in 2017. When everybody saw this was a scam, and as soon as I started talking to politicians, they immediately were like, "Oh no, Bitcoin is a scam for drug dealers. We don't do that." I'm like, "No, it's not." Now, a lot has changed. I think more so in the last. So there was two big events that kind of transformed our industry. The first one was COVID. I think COVID, it escalated the whole technology space by about a decade. So what have normally taken, additional 10 years got shortened to 1 or 2. I know this from my own experience because pre-COVID, it was always like, oh, well, why am I going to use this thing on my phone? Because remember, I'm mostly dealing with politicians here. They're not usually young people. So their excuse was, well, I can just see somebody face to face. After COVID, they called me up from a variety of countries, and they said, "Hey, that thing you were telling me about, do I still need to see people face to face, or can I just do it on a call or on the phone?" I said, No, you can just do it on your computer. They said, "Okay, now we're interested." So that kind of pushed it forward. And then, if you remember, during COVID, companies like Zoom had a bigger valuation than Exxon.
Oh, yeah.
Which, Zoom is a company, great company, but, it's like 100 people that does what we're doing now, which, lots of companies doing that, versus Exxon that's, responsible for a quarter of our oil industry. So,
well, it's crazy because I didn't even hear about Zoom until, the shutdown happened. So I'm like, I didn't even know what it was. People were like, "Oh, you're going to Zoom?" I go, "What do you mean Zoom?" So
it's been around for a long time.
I guess that's exactly the first time that it did appear. Yeah, absolutely right. It's like, moved on. Go ahead, Anton.
Well, no, they've been around for a long time. But yeah, that's when they blew up because technology just spiked. Everybody was shut down. And then I think the next big event is the most recent US election, whether, I don't care what politics you have, but the fact is that Trump made more money already in crypto since he became the president than he has in all of his businesses combined throughout his whole life. I think more than double at this point. And it's probably going to be maybe 10x by the time he's done being the president, whether it's through his sons or through whatever. The guy's a smart businessman, and they're doing everything on the government level to not just make all of these stable coins and everything legitimate, but institutional level. You guys are in the trading space. Just Jamie Dimon and all those guys just a year or two ago were saying, "Oh, we fire anybody who even talks about Bitcoin in our office." Now they have billions of dollars allocated to having ETFs. I mean, come on. by the way, these are publicly traded companies, and if you look at all of their patents, they've been taking out patents to build stablecoin, Ethereum level on Ethereum since I'd say in the early 20s, 2021. So
Yeah.
behind the scenes, it's been in the works.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild, and it's crazy how this is all came to fruition and how it's all progressing. What initially drew you to XYRA Corp and Cavitation Technologies? What about their vision or the intersection of fluid technology or blockchain infrastructure made you say, this is where I can make a real impact?
So I've actually been friends with some of Neil's associates in the past, and we were talking about using one of their other companies to be the payment solution for the stuff that I was doing in Latin America, because in much of Latin America to this day, most business is conducted by cash. I'd say 80%, especially on the retail level. And because of that, there is a lot of issues, again, that are normally associated with cash, but over there, they don't have the security levels and the infrastructure that we do here. And I know plenty of very large business people, guys that own like all the Walmarts and things like that, equivalent, and other ones that are equivalent of, Starbucks of Central America. They lose 5 to upwards of 10% of revenue due to the fraud and scam, and just the fact that the cash gets destroyed during transportation. I mean, I don't know if you guys heard of back in the day of Pablo Escobar. They were saying that he was spending, millions of dollars on rubber bands to keep the stacks of cash, and then the rats were eating it, and so he was losing money because the rats were eating cash. But even that's, there was a real thing that happened, but that's not just a Pablo Escobar issue. It's not just drug dealers that have wads of cash. It's regular business people, regular, your average retail store, when they get paid with a lot of money, and if it's a big box store, I mean, they're literally sitting on vaults, like, cartoony bank vaults with stacks of cash in them, and they don't have a lot of upkeep like we do here. Matter of fact, if you've ever been to Latin American countries, you're not going to see a lot of storage spaces like we have here. In the U.S. and in Canada, there's U-Store and all these storage locations. They don't really have that. It's not a very developed industry there, and so banks and big businesses, they have problems storing documentation. They have problems storing cash. And so, they have to literally like rent out houses sometimes to just store their paperwork.
Mm-hmm. It is absolutely crazy when you think about it in terms of that. How does that experience translate into what XYRA is building? Do you see opportunities for the company to bridge physical technologies with blockchain-based value systems?
So the cell phone penetration in those countries is more than 95% at this point.
Oh, wow.
Everybody has a phone, whether it's a Huawei or an iPhone. Most likely it is a Huawei phone. There is a giant cohort of young people that have now grown up with the cell phone, and they're trying to transition over to completely digital. And so it's a lot easier for them, the new consumer base, to adopt those digital payments. Everybody knows about crypto now, but for a majority of the countries, the law is lagging behind by quite a lot. The banks in the developing side of the world, and it's not just LATAM, I'm talking like all of the world, they're still quite decades behind. I mean, Central America just got their first credit card in like the late 90s. So they have a very rigid system. So you can, if you know how to do it, come in and disrupt those spaces. And yes, a lot of the companies try to avoid them. Maybe not, Brazil or Colombia or Mexico, because those are huge markets, but the other countries, or Argentina, but the other countries, for somebody like Apple Pay to go in there, they're gonna look at that market and they're like, we can make more money in LA, just focusing on that one city than we can in the whole country of El Salvador. Why bother? So a small company with a leaner system that doesn't have, $1 billion annual overhead can go in and disrupt that space. And some people have, but very few have the know-how to create a base and ecosystem in the local community, because they do operate differently than somebody in the US. They don't have that culture of like, oh, let's try new things. It's actually the opposite.
Got it. And so you're the guy that's going to sort of ruffle the feathers and get these systems up and running and sort of catch. And it's not even just catching these countries up. It's like catching up on hyperspeed, I would think, correct? That's crazy.
Yeah. But it has happened in the past. I mean, there's many examples. Look at all of Africa. They didn't have landlines. They still don't, but they all have cell phones, and several countries, even before crypto, made their own digital currency. And now that digital currency has superseded national currency. And again, and I think in a lot of these countries that have unstable economies, like Venezuela, for example, Venezuela is one of the biggest crypto users on the planet, because their currency is crap. But so are they going to go and start using digital payments? Yeah, I'm sure they will.
Yeah. Let's move on to partnerships. You've worked with governments across the US and Latin America. Do you anticipate XYRA pursuing similar strategic alliances or cross-border initiatives? Any exciting collaborations in the pipeline you can hint at?
I mean, initially we're going to go after the businesses and the banks. However, down the road, through the partnership with DelNorte, which was kind of like the initial reason I started talking to Neil's associates to begin with, is we want to build the rails and the payment infrastructure for the regular people that are paying their phone, their utilities, their taxes, even, to digitize all of those systems. And I already have both the expertise, the know-how, and the foothold in many of these countries to be able to do that.
Right on.
Especially on a local level.
That's awesome. And that's nice that you have that experience, so you could go in there, not just fresh off the block. You know what you're doing,
Yeah, and it's somebody coming again fresh off the block, like you said. It is very difficult, and if you just do, I'm not saying you, but whoever wants to find out, it's some basic research. They will see that there is basically nobody who's doing that in those countries, and the people who have tried burned through a lot of time and a lot of cash and got nowhere.
Yeah.
So it's not an easy market, but once you get in, it's it becomes an insurmountable moat for anybody else to compete.
It's a reliability thing too, because just like we rely on the dollar system here, this is a whole new world, and so they're just going to keep building upon it and building upon it. How do you see blockchain enhancing transparency, speaking of which, and efficiency and monetization in these rapidly growing tech ecosystems?
A lot. I mean, one of the things that is a big issue is bonds, right? So all of these, every government, even in the US, they're constantly teetering on the edge of bankruptcy, mainly because as most people are terrible managing their own money, just imagine how people do managing other people's money. So because of that, US has a huge infrastructure. The reason the dollar is king all over the world is because we have a huge bond market. That's not the same case for bonds of other countries, even the ones in the BRICS. I don't know a single person, and I know a lot of hedge fund guys that are looking to buy Indian treasuries, but you sell them anything in the US, they'll line around the block. And when you talk about anything in the developing world in Latam and Africa and the other Asian countries, it's you'll see spider webs everywhere. There's nobody there. Nobody wants to touch them because of the tradition of fraud and corruption that's associated with both the governments, the overblown infrastructure projects. But if you do put all that stuff on the blockchain and you have programmable money that can track and trace every transaction, I mean, it becomes a lot easier for the average Joe to invest their money into the government. And that's a market that's bigger than the stablecoin itself.
Oh yeah, especially like you said, like the little guy could follow those wallets, follow the transactions. That's the wild part. And by the way, guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, check out Anton's bio in the description of the video. And I'm actually, if you're watching this on X or Facebook, I'm gonna attach his bio to it, so you guys could really comb through and look at all the experience that he actually has. Listen, you've navigated some of the most complex regulatory environments in the world. How will your government relations expertise help XYRA scale responsibly while staying ahead of the global crypto and tokenization frameworks?
Well, I think it'll definitely help when it comes to building out the business infrastructure and onboarding clients. So again, I actually like working with business to business just because, you can close a deal in a couple of meetings versus with government. Sometimes they say everything is great, and then you don't hear from them again for a year. And this has happened to me, and this is not just LATAM or issue somewhere else. I've had this. My previous company was endorsed by Mayor Suarez of Miami, and then when the market crashed in 2022, they stopped picking up my calls, and I'm like, I'm not Sam Bankman-Fried, I'm not Three Arrows, I have nothing to do with those people. But it doesn't matter. The sentiment changed, and they're like, we don't want to have anything to do with crypto. Now it's fine. Now the sentiment changed again. Now they're back in business. And in America, I mean, aside from being the biggest market, but for a lot of these products, it's completely untapped right now. 99.5% of the 33 million medium and small businesses in the US don't use crypto at all. To this day, they have no crypto payment infrastructure, and most of them are unwilling to learn. They don't have tokenized anything. They don't even know what it is for the most part. 99% of all the real estate is still untokenized, if not more than that. And so there's a lot of this technology that people hear in the news and what we're talking about. But if you actually start digging and asking around, like, hey, have you guys done this? Do you know what it is? Almost nobody has. And
I will say, like, this is what you're talking about, and what we all see happening this in America. And you just hit the nail on the head. The floodgates are about to be open, essentially.
Yeah, they're open, but I think a lot of people underestimate. They underestimate how hard it is to penetrate the market, and they overestimate how saturated the market is. I mean, yes, there's a lot of payment companies out there, but if you look at what they do, they kind of all do the same thing. They're all going after the same client. They're all, and so there's a huge opportunity there of giant sections of the market, both on the government and the private sector, even in America, but certainly more so all over the world, where just nobody's even looking there. You might be competing with like one other company, if that. If you talk about government contracts, of which I know quite a bit in the US, and I've done US contracts, sometimes you bid on a thing, you'll be bidding against one other person. That's it. And that's like half the contracts in the US.
It's wild. Absolutely wild. And by the way, Neil, I'm going to give you a chance to close out in a second. I know he's just enjoying the show right now.
Yeah, of course.
I got to say, Anton, on a personal note, what excites you most right now? Is it the technology itself, the partnerships taking place, or the bigger picture of where XYRA and PTI can position themselves in the next wave of crypto integration and innovation?
So I guess I'll separate those two questions because they're CVAT and XYRA are very different technologies and very different businesses. But on the CVAT side, I talked to Neil about this, and I'll tell you, building out specifically digital infrastructure to support all this AI and all these crypto payments and everything that's coming now to make the world truly digital, the initiative in pretty much every country, including some of the ones that are actively at war, like Russia and Ukraine, they're building out and investing both on a private and public sector trillions of dollars into digital infrastructure, into server farms, which are going to be powering and doing the the AI systems and everything, and into power plants, especially, and so all of those things require water-based coolants. That's just what it is. So I told Neil, like, look, the opportunity is worldwide, because really there aren't a lot of people that are doing this. There are not a lot of people that are approaching these companies, and oftentimes, especially when you go out into the developing world and you find out who is building these server farms, it's often like the cousin of the president who just started the company, and then he'll go and tap his friends to where to source the material and all this stuff like that. So it's actually, if you know the right people, you can get into those deals, is what I'm saying. and those deals are usually quite big. I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars per server farm. And every country, literally every country on earth, has the initiative to do it right now. So that's one opportunity there. The other one is obviously the payments that we've been discussing before. Is it's still a very untapped market. It's still very, very new. I mean, the law just passed a few months ago in the US for stablecoin, and in America we haven't caught up to anything. There is no country right now, there's no sector of any industry that says, oh yeah, we're like 50% digital payments. Like, no, that doesn't exist. We're there, maybe 5%. So it's just such a wide open market. Now, it's not going to be like that forever, but I think between now and the next couple of years, it's a good time to take a strong position and capture a good chunk of really any industry that you focus on.
Anton, thank you so much for sharing everything that you have with us. And I look forward to the updates that you are going to bring the BFC community and all the traders that are invested in CVAT and the potential traders. But I want to leave it off with the head honcho here, some closing remarks from Mr. Neil Voloshin to actually give him some of the platform here. So, Neil, take it away, brother.
Well, you know how that goes. I mean, and frankly, I always speak, right? So this is, again, Anton, great job, buddy, because you know what, I had an opportunity just to literally kick back. Well, anyway, to quantify and describe, I mean, I think Anton depict precisely where the company is going. And the reason is we did create XYRA, if you kind of think about it. Cavitation technology is focusing a lot on developing fluid processing applications and technologies themselves. For example, frac and produced water. I mean, we do some other stuff. We developed non-thermal plasma. So the crypto space, including the server farms, require different type of nurturing, different type of people that would be engaged in that type of business. This is the reason we started XYRA, so that the penetration into that market space will become substantially faster. We're going to bring more talent to the company. We're going to have our own funding. And obviously, probably, I can probably talk to you, Eric, on a weekly basis, how the certain milestones we're going to be achieving, what we're doing, and how we executed it. And I think because XYRA is going to be very nimble in a number of different ways, because it has its own infrastructure, it's all corporate balances, I think we're going to move on this extraordinarily fast. So we in either way, either CVAT, which is a parent company, is not going to infringe much because we just don't need to, and XYRA will have an opportunity to navigate through, whatever we're looking for. So, and I'm glad of the way Anton mentioned that, there's some frequently difficulties in government space and so on and so forth. And I don't remember who said it once, that the optimist sees an opportunity in every difficulty, and pessimists see difficulty in every opportunity. So we will look at this and say, what, opportunity is there. Sometimes we need to tackle it, but we have the tools, we have the people behind it, and that's the most important asset. And I think we're just going to go and execute. This basically would be my closing remarks as far as we do. And I'm delighted to have Anton with our organization.
It's honestly been great having both of you guys, and I love what you just said. And I've always said this, don't look at your obstacles as just obstacles. Look at your obstacles as opportunities. And I think you hit the nail on the head there. So gentlemen, thank you for joining us here today.
All right. Okay, Derek, good to see you as always.